Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu Sadhu. So, today we are going to kind of speak about a sutta which kind of gives definitions of many of the generally spoken terms in a very simple language. Sariputta is met by a kind of wanderer, and he asks the definition of very commonly known and commonly discussed terms. So those terms are described over here. So it is a very good overview of the Buddha's teaching over here. This is Samyutta Nikaya 38. .1 to .16. The small 16 suttas which we will be covering one by one. On one occasion, Venerable Sariputta was dwelling in Magadha at Nalagama. Then the wanderer Jambukhadaka approached the Venerable Sariputta and exchanged greeting with him. When they had concluded the greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to the Venerable Sariputta, "Friend Sariputta, it is said, Nibbana, Nibbana. What is Nibbana?" So he starts with the most difficult questions about Nibbana. But the answer you can see is a very simple thing. The destruction of lust, the destruction of hatred, the destruction of delusion. This, friend, is called Nibbana. So, Lobha, Moha, Dosha, which is there. Those three things are the things which are destroyed, then a person is said to be in Nibbana. But friend, is there a path? Is there a way for the realization of this Nibbana? There is a path, friend. There is a way for the realization of this Nibbana. And what, friend, is that path? What is the way for the realization of this Nibbana? It is, friend, this noble eightfold path. That is, I'll first read the translation as by Bhikkhu Bodhi, then I'll give the translation which is there by Bhante Vimal Ramsingh. The first is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. But Bhante Vimal Ramsingh wanted to use a better word. So he used harmonious, and the other words also he wanted to use which are related to meditation and where you can get kind of insights into what you are doing. So it is harmonious perspective is the first one. Harmonious perspective, then harmonious imaging. Harmonious imaging meaning that what is the image you are carrying in your mind. Harmonious communication, the communication which you are doing with others and communication which you are doing with yourself. And harmonious movement. What is your movement of your mind? How is it going from one thing to another? So you have to know what is your movement. Harmonious lifestyle. What is the lifestyle you are living? Then harmonious practice, the practice which is we are knowing as 6R, that is the harmonious practice. Then harmonious collectedness, harmonious observation. That is, harmonious observation is observing how your mind's attention is moving from one thing to another and how this is impersonal and how this is causing us dukkha when we are resisting those which are arising. What is arising? If you are resisting, it is causing us dukkha. When something present arises and we try to hold on to it, then we cause ourselves dukkha. And then there is harmonious collectedness. That is the ability for us to stay on a object of meditation. That are the eightfold path. That is the path which is required for the attainment of Nibbana. So again, you'll see the format also is of the Four Noble Truths. Bhante used to say that the Four Noble Truths is repeated many times in this suttas. So over here it says what is Nibbana, what is the how does it how does it cause, what is the cause for the Nibbana, and how you can what is the means end of this? That is, what is the end of the problem, and what is the path for the problem? So he asked what is Nibbana, and then he asked about the path leading to the Nibbana, which kind of takes care of all the other parts also. So in this way, the problem and solution kind of approach is applied for many things in when teaching to others. So now the next the next question comes is, friend Sariputta, it is said arahantship. What is arahantship? The destruction of the lust, the destruction of hatred, the destruction of delusion. This friend is called arahantship. So over here also the same thing about Nibbana and arahantship has been kind of clarified. The link between the an arahant and the Nibbana. The one who has attained Nibbana is only can be called an arahant, because in both the cases there is the destruction of hatred, lust, hatred, and delusion. But friend, is there a path is there a way for the realization of arahantship? There is a path, friend. There is a way for the realization of this arahant. And what, friend, is this? Is that path? That is the same way of realizing this arahantship. It is this eightfold path. That is the same eightfold path. So he is also asking for how to reach those states. Excellent is the path, friend. Excellent is the way for the realization of this arahantship, and it is enough, friend Sariputta, for diligence. Proponents of Dhamma. Friends, that is the next question. Who are the proponents of Dhamma in the world? Who are practicing well in the world? Who are the fortunate ones in the world? Those, friend, who teach the Dhamma for the abandonment of lust, for the abandonment of hatred, for the abandonment of delusion. They are the proponents of Dhamma in the world. Those who are practicing for the abandonment of lust, the abandonment of hatred, for the abandonment of delusion, they are practicing well in the world. Those for whom lust, hatred, and delusion have been abandoned, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated, so that they are no more subject to future arising. They are the fortunate ones in the world. But friend, is there a path? Is there a way for the abandonment of lust, hatred, and delusion? There is a path, friend. There is a way for the abandonment of this lust, hatred, and delusion. And what is the path? That same path is the Noble Eightfold Path. So now one thing about this thing about abandonment is to let go. So the anybody who is teaching for the way to reach to the Nibbana is teaching the right Dhamma. Like Bhante Vimal Ramsey is there. He always kind of was opposed because he kind of mentioned the word Nibbana. When he mentioned the word attainments, when he mentioned the word the Sotapanna, Sakdagami, Anagami, Arahant, when he had mentioned those words and he said that why following the Buddha's teaching one can attain those attainments and can progress, and then one can ultimately at one time in this life or the next life or maybe in 7 lives times you will be attaining Nibbana. So that he was very much criticized for that. But that is the person who teaches the correct Dhamma. The people who kind of shy away from saying that the purpose, the whole concept for teaching this is to kind of teach you how to understand. And by understanding, you will get liberated. So no lust means that you don't have an I want mind. No hatred means I don't like mind. And there is no delusion means this is me. You're not taking things personally. That is a simple kind of explanation Bhante used to give. So I like it, I don't like it, or this is me. That is how we kind of keep on going into this cycle of thinking. And when we are kind of getting rid of that cycle, then we are getting rid of the basic component of which kind of sustains us in this world. So then we go to the next question. For what purpose? For what purpose, friend Sariputta, is the holy life lived under the ascetic Gautama? It is, friend, for the full understanding of suffering that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. But, friend, is there a path? Is there a way for the full understanding of this suffering? There is a path, friend. There is a way. This eightfold noble path. So the way to reach to the end of the suffering is also what we are doing, which is the 6 hours and the meditation which we are doing. It is the full understanding of suffering. And the easiest explanation Bhante Viveramsi gives for suffering is, if there is truth and you are fighting against that truth, then you are creating suffering. So whatever is the reality in the lives, you are not understanding and not understanding the real characteristic of this world. That is that everything is impermanent. It is dukkha and it is impersonal. So when you are not kind of acknowledging that, that we see in meditation, when we are an object of meditation, our mind moves to another thing. We are thinking about something else and we realize, oh, this thing, I did not go on myself. It was not there and my attention is over here. How did that happen? So then what we do is we keep on coming back. We say we recognize, release, relax, resmile, and return back to the object of meditation. When we return back to the object of meditation, again our mind moves. Then we realize that this thing which is happening is impersonal. This is not me. This is not mine. And whatever state of mind is there, we kind of see for ourselves, keeps on changing. Everything is impermanent. And where are we creating dukkha? If, say, our mind goes, and that is an impersonal process, but what we do is we kind of first blame ourselves when we are a new meditator. We say, why did it happen? Why am I like that? Why am I not able to stay on the object of meditation? Then you kind of release, relax, smile, and return back. But that taking it personally happens at that point of time. As we develop as meditators, we recognize that, oh, that is something which is happening, which is, it's an impersonal process. So we kind of stop kind of blaming ourselves. We just recognize, release, relax, smile, and return back. So we kind of keep on doing that, and we recognize that how this process is happening. When we recognize that, then our mind kind of while going, we kind of recognize the mind is going away, and then we come back. Then what happens is, as soon as the mind kind of starts shaking, we recognize that this is happening, and we kind of relax over here, and we stay on the object of meditation. And then we see more and more how the mind is functioning. Then we go into more and more calm states of mind. So in this way, the suffering is the point we understand that wherever we have resisted, we suffer. Wherever we have accepted and let go, we don't suffer. So we understand how the suffering happens. And when we are letting go of suffering, then we are suffering less and less. So that is a way we can, that is the why we are kind of doing this as monks also, as lay people also, for the full understanding of suffering. Another thing is that when Buddha was asked, why, what does he teach? He has many times said that he is teaching about suffering and the end of suffering. So in that way, also the suffering becomes very important, how it is kind of affecting us. Consolation. Now, consolation and super consolation, there are two parts which are kind of not very clear. And Bhikkhu Bodhis also says that in the commentaries, that what exactly they were kind of trying to explain. There must be a concept over there with the ascetic, and then he's asking according to that concept, the consolation. Now, consolation and the super consolation can be kind of said to be explaining the concept of maybe reaching to Anagami stage and the reaching to the Arahant stage. So that is also a little bit clear when we read what is being said. friend, Sariputta, it is said one who has attained consolation. On one who has attained consolation. In what ways, friend, has one attained consolation? When, friend, a student understands as it really is the origin and the passing away, the gratification, the danger, and the escape in the case of the 6 bases of contact. In this way, he has attained consolation. So what he says is, he understands as it really is. He understands as really is these 5 things. What is the 5 things? This is the origin, the passing away, the gratification, the danger, and escape. So now this is in other places, Buddha has said that if somebody understands these 5 things, then they'll be able to understand the teaching, the whole teaching. So what is the origin? Origin is something which is arising. Passing away is something which is going away. That means that our thoughts which are there are in the same way, which it arises and it passes away. The gratification is the pleasure we kind of attain from anything from our life. Say if you had a thought about an ice cream and you had an ice cream, what would that be? You would have a gratification because you had when you are having an ice cream, you are having pleasure in that ice cream, and then that pleasure goes away. Then there is a passing away of that feeling of pleasure. Then what happens is there is the danger. What is the danger? Because the ice cream was impermanent. Whatever you are kind of being happy with, that will give you a dukkha. So that is the danger in that thing. And what is the escape? Escape is this 8-fold path. So there is an origin and the passing away. Then there is a gratification, there's a danger, and there is an escape. So this is the concept. If somebody has kind of understands, then he can go on the path. So there is a way to realization of this. That is also the 8-fold path. Super consolation. Friend Sariputta, it is said one who has attained super consolation. When, friend, having understood as it really is, that is saying having understood means he has already understood as it really is, origin, the passing away, the gratification, the danger, and the escape. In the case of the 6 sense basis of contact, a student is liberated by non-clinging. So that is the main point is a student is, or a bhikkhu is liberated by non-clinging. In this way, he has attained super consolation. So one kind of examines these 5 things, but by examining this, there is non-clinging. With non-clinging to everything, the person or the bhikkhu or the student is liberated. So that is the super consolation in this case. Feeling. Friend Sariputta, it is said feeling. What now is feeling? There are, friend, these 3 feelings: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. These are the 3 feelings. So as we can see that the feeling which has been mentioned has been given a clear classification. This clear classification is, it is pleasant, it is unpleasant, or neither pleasant or unpleasant. So this can be a problem in certain cases where there is doubt arising. So to clear doubt, all the definitions which are being given has been given very clearly. And we can see in other suttas also, like I think Majjhima Nikaya 43, which goes into more details in the feeling, like what are the things which are pleasant in the unpleasant feeling, or what are the things which are unpleasant in the pleasant feeling. So certain things of those feelings are also discussed in detail. But the basic feeling which are there is only the 3 feeling, which is the pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neither pleasant nor pleasant feeling. Then taints. Taints are also kind of explained as chains or the attachments or the hooks which you have for the samsara. So he's asking, what are the taints? There are, friend, these three taints. Taint of sensuality means all the sense bases, that is eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. All the sense bases, the attachment for the sense bases. The taint of existence. Existence is the samsara, you can say. The taint of ignorance, that is avidya. So these are the taints which are there. There are three taints which are there, which is of samsara, which is there where we are staying, of our sensuality, means all the sense bases where we have sensory inputs which are received by our mind. And by receiving those sensory inputs, it creates the prapancha. So in Majjhima Nikaya 18, Buddha kind of explains that how having those kind of perceptions then creates all the thoughts, and by creating all the thoughts, we create all the fights and quarrels and justifications and recriminations. So all those things which happen when we have something which we like or don't like, we perceive as something which we like or don't like. So in that is the start for all those samsara. So sensuality is there, then the taint of existence and the taint of ignorance. Because ignorance also, we cannot say that there is a discernible past for ignorance. That is what the Buddha says. So those are the hooks which are there, which are keeping us going. Then what is ignorance? Friend Sariputta, it is said ignorance, ignorance. What now is ignorance? Not knowing suffering, not knowing the origin of suffering, not knowing the cessation of suffering, not knowing the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called ignorance. So not knowing the noble, four noble truths is the start of ignorance. And interestingly, the start of the right view is to know those four noble truths. So the right view. So if you have a right perspective, that is the perspective of the four noble truths, then you will have the right imaging. That is the imaging which is in line with the four noble truths. When you have the right imaging, then you will have right communication. Sorry, harmonious communication. Then we have harmonious communication, then you will have harmonious movement of the mind. When you have harmonious movement of the mind, then you will have harmonious lifestyle. When you have a harmonious lifestyle, then you will have harmonious practice. When you have a harmonious practice, you will have harmonious observation and harmonious collectedness. So in this way, also the start of the path to ending this and understanding this samsara also starts from understanding the four, that start of practicing the eightfold noble path. So now this eightfold noble path, the first path is also of the harmonious perspective or right view. So that has to be kind of understood, that if the ignorance is not knowing the four noble truths, then the escape from it is also starting from knowing the four noble truths. So that is a kind of a beautiful kind of a way the Buddha has kind of structured this. Craving. Friend Sariputta, it is said craving, craving. Now, what is craving? There are, friend, these three kinds of craving. Craving for sensual pleasures, cravings for existence, cravings for extermination. These are the three kinds of craving. Craving for pleasures, we know. Craving for pleasures are the craving for, say, you want something good for the eye. You want something nice to listen to. You want something good to smell. You want something good to taste. You want something good to feel. You want something good to experience as thoughts. So these are the things which are you want, like the good things to experience. Then you want to be somebody. I want to be a mayor. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a god. or I want to be nothing. That is also one of the kind of ways of saying that I want to be something. Then there is a thought in our mind that I don't want to be. I don't want to be what I am. I don't want to exist. Now, when somebody has that thought, I don't want to exist, that those thoughts we kind of colloquially say as they are suicidal thoughts. But Buddha is acknowledging that that is a kind of fundamental ways of our working of the mind, because the mind says that, oh, this is body. If I kind of have suffering, if I eliminate this body, then my suffering will be eliminated. But that is not what the reality of the samsara is. We have our consciousness. Even without the body, if the consciousness is staying, then you are not making an end to your suffering. So the strong will not to be is also a part and fundamental part of the way the mind works. The mind works that they want pleasure from all the senses. They sometimes they want to become something. They want to become a deva. Somebody wants to become a brahma. Somebody wants to become a better person, or somebody wants to just become a kind of a MLA in the local area. So some or the other, we always have a thought of becoming something. And then the last is not to become, to kind of eliminate ourselves. So this is a constant kind of functioning of the mind, which is the craving which is there. That is the reason this craving which is there is sustaining us and taking us forward. And to end this is the same eightfold path one uses. Floods. Friend Sariputta, it is said, flood, flood. Now, what is a flood? There are, friends, these four floods. The flood of sensuality, the flood of existence, the flood of views, the flood of ignorance. So we have talked a lot about sensuality, the flood of existence, the flood of ignorance. We have talked that. But we are not talking about flood of views. So the views which are there is fundamental to how a mind kind of gets ideas. We know that there are certain kinds of views which are already there in the world. And Buddha kind of gives in one of the suttas, I think Nikaya first sutta is there, Brahmajala Sutta. So in that, the Buddha says that how by thinking, human beings create different kinds of views. Say, if somebody says that, oh, if you do this and this, you will get that result. Or somebody says in the time of the Buddha, there was one teacher who used to say that if you do anything bad, you will not get the karmic result for that. And somebody says that if you do something good, you will not get karmic results for that. The Buddha says that this all views comes based on having limited knowledge or having limited information. Say if somebody creates a psychic ability, and he sees somebody kind of die and then be reborn in a hell realm. But that person lived a good life as a good person, and then he he passes away, and then he ends up in hell. Then the person can create a view saying that, oh, doing good things does not have any effect, and this person went to hell after doing good things in his whole life. He ended up in hell. But that person has a limited view. Say, Buddha has said that we have lived many hundreds of lifetime, hundreds of thousands of lifetime, maybe hundreds of thousands into hundreds and thousands of lifetime, and maybe more. So what has happened in the past, the person is not able to see. He's just seeing this one lifetime. As a Buddha, the Buddha can say that he can see a lot of lifetimes, and he can see a lot of in the future also. So the Buddha says that he may have done good in this life, but some things which are there, the causes and conditions were as such that the person had to go to hell, because there were certain things he had done before that which had come into fruition. And because that had come into fruition, the person has gone into the hell realm. But whatever good he has done in this life, that will come to him as good results in the future life. So that will not be wasted. So in this way, by seeing the whole picture, the Buddha can give us a kind of a balanced information or a balanced advice. And we have to be kind of sure that we don't fall into wrong views, because views is something which we kind of can create by thinking. That's the reason logic and should not kind of believe in logic or should not totally depend on logic. Logic is a good thing to help us in the daily life. But if you say that I'll always use logic, or I'll always create kind of views based on my logic, then you will have a limited understanding, because you will not have the kind of experience of reality. You have to experience reality as it is, which happens in meditation. When we are sitting in meditation and we are kind of seeing as it is how our mind is working, then we are getting insight into this reality of how the mind's attention is moving, how we are creating our dukkha for ourselves. So those kind of things we will kind of understand when we are doing meditation and seeing. So we will be able to not create views, but we will be creating the knowledge, which will kind of take care of the ignorance also. And when we are knowing we have and seeing it as it is, then we get out of sensuality and out of this existence, which is the samsara. So these are the four floods, and because of that, the cycle which is there we are in kind of perpetuates. And there, the way to end this is the eightfold noble path. Clinging. Friend Sariputta, what is clinging? What is clinging? Now, what now is clinging? There are, friend, these four kinds of clinging. Clinging to sensual pleasure, clinging to views, clinging to rules and vows, clinging to doctrine of selves. These are the four kinds of clinging. So these are the clingings which are there. When there is a craving, then there is clinging. So clinging comes up in types of sensual pleasures. Clinging to sensual pleasures, any sense base, we kind of are clinging to that. We cling to the visual sensual pleasure. We can cling to the sound. We cling to the smells. We cling to the tastes. We cling to the tactile things which we feel. We cling to the thoughts. So we cling to all those sensual pleasures. We cling to views. We cling to the view that this is correct or this is wrong, or I think this is the way this thing is happening. So that is also clinging to your views. Then clinging to rules and vows. Rules and vows are the Silapatal Paramasa. That is the thing which is, if I do certain kind of activities, I will get a moksha, or I'll get Nibbana, or I'll get Nirvana. So this is something which is done in many societies. Like if you go to certain temple and do certain rituals, then you will be assured that you will not be reborn. Or if you go to this river and dip your head, then you are assured that you will not be reborn. You will have moksha. Something these are the kind of rites and rituals which are there. One believes in. So one clings to those things, saying that these are the things which is kind of giving me safety. These are the things which is giving me assurance of the future. So those things can be the clinging which one has. Then the clinging is to the doctrine of self. The doctrine of self can be very complicated. One is the doctrine that this body is me. I am this body. If I am not, the body goes, I am not no more. Then there is another thing is the body. The body is one thing, and then myself is another. The self is inside the body, or this self is embedded in this body. Or some other kind of permutation and combinations of self, which is related to the body. Then there are concepts related to feeling, then perceptions, then even the mind. So those are the things. There may be views of what is the correct self. So there can be permutation combinations of hundreds of views of self. So if one person is clinging to that view, that can be the clinging to the doctrine of self. And the way leading us out of this doctrine is the same eightfold path, existence. Friend Sariputta, it says existence, existence. Now, what now is existence? There are, friend, these three kinds of existence: sense sphere existence, form sphere existence, and formless sphere existence. One second, I'm just a little bit thirsty today. What is sense sphere existence? Is the existence which we have, where we have senses, distinct senses which we have. So this is called the sense sphere existence. Then there is formless sphere existence. That formless sphere existence is the existence of the devas, yakas, nagas. So they have they are in a kind of a formless existence. Then formless existence, and they are a form sphere existence. But they have this subtle form. So there is sense sphere, then there is form sphere. That is, form sphere is subtle form. So they may be devas, nagas, all those are in the form sphere. And there is a formless sphere. The formless sphere is the existence where people who have attained infinite space, infinite consciousness, infinite or nothingness, and neither perception or non-perception. These four arupa states, they go into a space where there is only mind is there. That is the formless sphere. So that formless sphere, when somebody is there, they cannot kind of grow over there, because they will stay in that state till the time they are assigned to that states. Like if you are in infinite space and you have not gone any further and not attained anything else, then you are reborn in the infinite space for 16 Mahakapas. And then you stay there for 16 Mahakapas and then again born in the samsara. So that is the space which is formless. There are no forms are there. And to understand this thing also, they say that it is the same eightfold path. Sariputta says is that to understand this three sense existences, you have to kind of understand the eightfold path. And by understanding, you can kind of progress. Suffering. Friends, Sariputta, it is said suffering, suffering. What is suffering? There are, friends, there's three kinds of suffering. The suffering due to pain, the suffering due to formations, and the suffering due to change. These are the three kinds of suffering. So anybody who has done meditation will understand these three kinds of pain. One is the pain, the three kind of suffering. The suffering due to pain. So the first thing, first day, somebody is sitting at one spot, he will kind of first see that there is pain which is happening. Suffering due to formations. Formations means the body which is there, or any kinds of thoughts which are coming. Those things also kind of create your sense of suffering. Then there is the suffering due to change. So if there is a good, pleasant sitting which is there and it changes, then you kind of crave for that thing. Oh, I had a calm mind. Now it is very busy. So that change which is there is also creating suffering. So in life also, if something changes in the state of the kind of market, or the state of the government, or in the state of the world affairs, or in the state of the weather, people suffer. So people who like cold and it starts becoming warm, then they will suffer. So people who don't like cold, and it starts becoming cold, then they will suffer. So any change which happens creates suffering. Any kinds of formations which are there create suffering. Any kind of pain which is there is creating suffering. And Bhante kind of says that very kind of in short that when somebody kind of pushes against the reality, it creates suffering. So there can be pain, but there cannot be any suffering. The way Buddha explains is that by the simile of the two arrows, if the one arrow has been stuck, that will give you the physical pain. But whatever lamentation is there, grief is there. Why did this happen to me? I don't want this pain. Just get rid of this pain. All these things which we are doing is the second layer of suffering. And that is the suffering which we are creating for ourselves. So pain which is there is unavoidable, but suffering is something which we can avoid. So the Buddha also, when he was old, he had many times he had illnesses, and due to that illnesses, it is written in the sutta that the Buddha's body kind of created pain. Painful sensations were created in the body, but the Buddha was very mindful and alert to those arising pains, but it did not create suffering in his mind. So that is how we can understand the teaching of the Buddha and kind of get rid of this second kind of suffering, which is the suffering which we create for ourselves. The way Sister Khema says is that we nothing is happening to us, but it is happening from us. Means there can be a stimulus which is there, but the response which is there is our response. If we say, oh, why is this happening to me? Why I am the person of this target of this person, of this person who is kind of abusing me? Then we can say this in the same way, that we just accept this situation which is there and create a response which is there of metta. In Majjhima Nikaya 21, simile of the saw, the Buddha says that even if somebody is cutting your limbs off, you should have metta in the heart and give only metta, and give metta to all the people around us. So however the person is behaving with us, we behave with them with metta. By that we are creating our own response. And that is the reason how the sister Khema is saying is, nothing is happening to you, it is happening from you. So if there is suffering, then you are creating that suffering, and you can kind of quit that creating of suffering. Identity. Friend Sariputta just said identity, identity. Now what now is identity? These five aggregates subject to clinging, friend, have been called identity by the Blessed One. That is form aggregate subject to clinging, feeling aggregate subject to clinging, perception aggregate subject to clinging, formations aggregate subject to clinging, the consciousness aggregate subject to clinging. These five aggregates subject to friend to clinging, subject to clinging, friend. This is the way for the full understanding of to clinging, and have been called identity by the Blessed One. Sorry, this is, I think I copied wrongly. I'll correct this document. I think I have seen a few errors in this documents. So please don't retain these documents. I'll correct these documents and I'll update that on the YouTube comment sections, so we can use that. Okay. Of this identity. But friend, is there a path? Is there a way for the full understanding of identity? There is a path, friend. There is a way for the full understanding of this identity. And that same path is the Eightfold Path. So one second. What I'll do is I'll try and read this directly from the so we have finished identity. This is the last kind of part of the sutta. This is talking about difficult to do. Friend Sariputta, what is difficult to do in this Dhamma and discipline? Going forth, friend, is difficult to do in this Dhamma and discipline. What, friend, is difficult to do by one who has gone forth? To find delight, friend, is difficult to do by one who has gone forth. What, friend, is difficult to do by one who has found delight? Practice in accordance with the Dhamma, friend, is difficult to do by one who has found delight. But friend, if a student or a bhikkhu is practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, would it take him long to become an arahant? not long friend. So over here, the Sariputta is saying that when somebody is kind of practicing the way the Buddha is teaching, then it will not take long for them to attain Nibbana or to attain growth. So this is a line Sister Khema used to like a lot, and once she wanted to write an article about it. So I found this sutta and shared it with her. So she was really happy to have found this sutta. So over here it is giving a clear example that progressing, as somebody kind of have accused Bhante Vimalamsi also, that, oh, you are teaching this students to progress very fast. So that is not how fast they can progress. But over here it has been clearly mentioned by Sariputta in the sutta that, but friend, if a student is practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, would it take him long to become an arahant? Not long, friend. So the difficult thing may be to become a monk, and the difficult thing may be to kind of find delight. The difficult thing may be to kind of follow the Dhamma as taught by the Buddha. But if one does that, then one can progress in the Dhamma fast. It does not take time. But having said that, we have to kind of Buddha has also said that he makes individual differences. So there are certain times that there is a difference between a person and another person. So it is not that the same pace everybody will progress, but compared to what is the time you are spent in the samsara, you are spending very, very little time, even if you are spending a few years to kind of master this practice, master this process, and master the 6 hours and the TWIM meditation. It is not a long time it will take for you to progress. So this is the end of the sutta, and this sutta is kind of actually a collection of 16 suttas in a way. It is Samyutta Nikaya, so it is Samyutta of the 16 different questions the wanderer is asking the Sariputta. So this, if there are any questions, you can ask questions. If they are not, then we can end it now. I'll just give an update of Sister Khema also after this, if there are no questions. Yes.
I want to ask about clinging. Keeping promises or fulfilling obligations comes under clinging?
No, see, if you have obligations, you are performing those obligations. But if those obligations are in line with the Dhamma, so if in fulfilling those obligations, are you breaking any of the 5 precepts? That you need to ask yourself. And if you're not breaking those 5 precepts, then I don't think there is any issues.
Okay. And what about self-defense? Is there any concept in Buddhism? Self-defense.
See, in Vinaya, there is a concept of self-defense, which says that if, say, an animal or a person kind of attacks, then a monk can punch him. So just a blow, striking a blow is kind of applicable. And I think that is the kind of start of the Shaolin and the martial arts also, where they don't use weapons, but with the hand they can put in one blow, and they can get away from the assailant and run away from that. So that is kind of mentioned in Vinaya.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other questions? Okay, then I'll share a little bit on Sister Khema. Sister Khema has children have left now from Hungary, but they have made a arrangement for Sister Khema to kind of have a video conference with their children. And she has been doing a little bit better in the last 10 days or so, 12 days, she has been a little better. And after her children left, she also started walking with the help of a walker. So she was not, she was bedridden. And when she had come from Poland at least she was so bad situation that she was restrained in this thing. She was not allowed to move also because they were afraid that she would break the bone. So she was restrained in the bed. And then when she came over here, when she had to be put on the wheelchair also, two people were required to kind of put her on the wheelchair and take her out. So now from there, for her to kind of get up and stand up on the floor and take a walker and kind of walk few steps is a big kind of change. And we are hopeful that she kind of progresses. And as Jay was there at the time when we kind of started before recording this, she was able to hear, but she was not able to kind of respond well. That is also the as of now she is getting better at it. At one point of time she was not able to talk. We had 5-minute conversations or something like that, and she was not able to comprehend. So now that also she's getting better. She I am trying to speak to her daily. For the last 1 or 2 days I was not able to speak to her, but yesterday I called her, but she was busy or she wanted to sleep. I called her late. But I think she is getting better at that also, on picking up the phone. So let us see. We are hopeful what happens. We are supporting her, and as it progresses, we'll see what can be done. But one thing is the doctor says that the cancer is still there and it does its own thing in the background, you know. So we are seeing one aspect, which is that she is improving in those things, but there are other things which are there which may show up. So he's kind of cautioning us also. And so we had a meeting with the oncologist because we wanted to know what is happening, no, what is the next step if she's improving now and the injuries are getting healed. So then he said that there is a lot there still. So we are kind of being cautious also. So let us see how it happens. And we kind of share merit with her also when we are sharing merit over here. And if there is no other questions, then we'll share merit. Okay. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.